So I found out this morning that somebody close to me was conned out of £24,000 by a marketing company, and that was money they didn't really have to lose. Now, the reason I'm making this video is so that you know the questions to ask so that you don't get conned like I did seven and a half years ago and like they did today. So everybody knows that the Facebooks and the Instagrams are very good. Now, as a small business owner, you want to utilize them, but often it's not that easy to get involved and learn every single aspect of the business, from ops, legal, HR, marketing. You can't really learn it all, so people like to outsource it. They either outsource it and bring somebody in-house, or they get a social media marketing agency or a marketing agency to basically do the work for them. Now, in theory, that sounds like a good idea, much like outsourcing to an accountancy firm. Now, where I think small business owners go wrong is they fundamentally don't ask the right questions and they don't look at the right metrics. And I have heard, and I know that what's happened to me, is that marketing companies play on that and then just use all the jargon and the allure of 1 million impressions, or my absolute favorite is like, oh, we'll bring you 30 leads per month for X amount of pounds. In your mind, and it's perfectly understandable, you might think that, oh, well, normally I convert 80% of leads that I get. Not thinking that actually those leads are probably being pre-qualified by a referral and they're probably quite warm. Now, what the marketing company will do is, and which I've seen done absolutely loads of times, is they'll get generic images, or they'll come in, take some photos, they'll just put them out onto Facebook Ads Manager, they'll put some generic text, and then they'll just send you absolutely loads of random people that'll just call you up, wanting to know what the offer is, what the price is, your location. None of these things will be explained in the ad, so actually it's not a very warm lead at all. So the chances that you actually end up with a buyer is pretty low. And then what this marketing agency will say is, oh, well, we got you all of these leads, it's actually you that wasn't able to convert them. Now, isn't that a wonderful business model where people pay you and then you blame them for you not getting the results? So what people normally do when hiring these companies is they'll basically go with the person that sells them the biggest dream for the smallest amount of money. And when that doesn't work in 6 months' time, you'll be like, oh, maybe it was just these people overselling me the dream. Now, I'm guessing the next thing that they'll go and do is go to the person selling them the second biggest dream for the next cheapest price. And when that doesn't work, you'll just be like, oh, well, social media marketing doesn't work for my company. Now, I understand there is nothing worse than somebody that comes and rants on social media about something and then doesn't offer a solution. So if I was in that position, these are the questions that I would be asking to social media marketing agencies. The first thing I would look out for is somebody going to teach me how it all works so that it makes sense? Nobody leaves a career in rocket science to go into marketing. It's not difficult, it's not complicated, it's actually quite straightforward. So if they're using jargon and crazy numbers that just seem very unrealistic, I would probably run a mile. Now, in order to do social media well, there are some fundamentals, and these are fundamentals that I would make sure that they are addressing. The first is customer acquisition. So again, you know, ironically, I'm using jargon, but I'm going to explain it. So it's how do you get a customer? Now, we talk about the marketing funnel, and that's basically how do you get loads and loads of strangers into a buyer? Generally, what you do is you get them to know you, you get them to like you get them to trust you, you give them a compelling offer, and then they become a buyer. And as you go down the upside down pyramid, the amount of people gets less and less and less. So, how do you get people to go from a stranger to getting them to know you? On Instagram, it's with Reels, because that gets in front of the most amount of people. And in your Reels, you need to basically create as interesting, entertaining, valuable content as you can. So the chances are when somebody sees it, they go, I quite like that, I'm going to follow them for more. So generally, Reels are used for outreach. Now, once you've got people following you, you need to provide them with value and ongoing value at that, and you do that through the stories. So now people know you, you need to get them to like you and then trust you. Now, a general rule of thumb is you want customers that have got shared interests and shared values, because generally they'll be the most loyal customers. So share things that are your interests. Demonstrate your values. Do that daily, over and over and over, and you will build a loyal following. And yes, it might put a few people off, but they probably weren't going to be buyers. Now, you probably don't build trust from doing one generic post a day. Like, how often do you trust something where you just see the same billboard day after day? It's pretty unlikely. So, once they become followers, provide them with tons of free value. Even if you're a consultant, give it all away for free, because the chances are knowing something is very different to being able to implement it, and that's where you'll come in. And also, if you're giving it all away for free, they're probably thinking, imagine what we would get from them if we paid them. And in front of a lot of people, you're going to look like an industry expert. So after they know who you are and you get them to like you and trust you, you need to give them a compelling offer. Now you need to make sure that that offer is less valuable than all of the value you've given them in the past, so actually they view it as basically getting it for free. Now those are the fundamentals on how to attract customers on social media. Now make sure that this company that is pitching to you is going to tick off all of those things. Now nothing I've said is actually crazy revolutionary. It's the fundamentals of social media marketing. It's not that hard. Now obviously those are just the basics, and there's a lot more micro to it, and it's ever evolving. But make sure that they have a plan for all of those steps. Don't let people make it sound more complicated than it is so that you have to outsource it to them. You don't. And I would really urge you to spend time to learn, because realistically, nobody is going to be more passionate about the business than you. And also, if you did get somebody in to do it and they became brilliant, do you want somebody else to be the face of your brand? And the liability that that holds, for me, just isn't worth it. And because marketing can be such a transient job role, you don't want to be left in the lurch by somebody who holds all the power in your business. So when you're being pitched to by a marketing agency, always ask in the back of your mind, well, how will this actually make us money? And if they can't really explain it simply, or they have to use loads of jargon, the chances are they're not very confident in their methods. Now, if you're working with a marketing agency that aren't getting you great results, feel free to send this to them and see what they have to say, because if they disagree with what is widely known as the fundamentals of social media, and they're like, oh, well, it's too much work or whatever, I would be very, very skeptical. Now, hopefully, if somebody pitches to you, you'll have all of these questions in the back of your mind, and you won't get conned like I did all those years ago, and like the person close to me got conned today.